Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode. We are episode 583 of Hump Day Hangouts. Today is the 4th of February, 2026. Thanks for joining us live, or if you're catching the replay, appreciate you checking it out too. One of the things we recommend people do if you're new here is go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to tell you to smash that like and notify button, but you can do that if you want. But the reason I say that you should subscribe is because what we do with Hump Day Hangouts, we take all of the questions and chop them up and turn them into individual clips. And that way, if you're asking questions or you're looking for something more specific, you can get notified or, log onto the channel, check it out and get something more specific, or just come join us for Hump Day Hangouts. That's cool too. We love having people here live. And if you've got a question, it sometimes helps to be here live if it's a little ambiguous or we need some details. And maybe Bradley's got some follow-up for you. And if you're here, boom, you can get that. If not, well, you got to wait a week. So other than that, wanted to mention something while Bradley's doing some tech stuff in the background. We have got the new membership tiers in the mastermind going. We've had a ton of new members join, which is awesome. Thanks for everybody in the first day or two where we had some technical difficulties and everything's been ironed out. Things have been going smooth. A lot of really good feedback. Really happy to see people. We've got a ton of new members. We've got some returning members, people we've seen over the years. So thanks to everybody, and looking forward to interacting and just having you in the mastermind. Ton of value. We got more coming. We got a couple things we've been talking about this week that we want to do for both entry tier and pro tier members in the mastermind. And if you're not familiar with what's going on, you can go over to mastermind.semanticmastery.com and check it out. I will just say that the mastermind has, as always, even at the entry tier, it's still got the high value for pro tier now. It's got even more. You get office hours with Bradley, but the price on both is lower than what it's ever been. So we wanted to really make the entry tier something affordable that people, if you're a freelancer or a very small agency owner, you're not cracking 10K a month. We get it. That's a lot of people, and we've all been there. But to still have access to the information, to the SOPs, to a lot of the courses, the training. So we've found a way to do that while still providing for those agency owners who are growing and need some more direct access on a regular basis. So we encourage you to check it out, mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Bradley, any other follow-on words onto that?
No, I mean, just that, it is definitely, it's less expensive than it's ever been. And we did that intentionally to open it up, make it more accessible for more people, because things are changing so fast. And training courses are training courses, but they need to be updated, and that's difficult to do. That's why we have a mastermind. That's why we've always had a mastermind, was because things change in the SEO industry fairly rapidly, a lot faster now than they ever have. And so because of that, we need to constantly be updating what's working and what's not working. So that's what the mastermind is for. It's so that we can have at least, even at the entry level now, it's one webinar per week on Thursday, so that we can stay on top of everything that is, shifting and changing, and all the new apps and, stuff that's coming out all the time. And so that's the whole point. And so we made it very inexpensive because we want more people to be able to keep up with the changes and everything, because it's moving so fast. And that's why we did it. It's just, I thought it would be better to make it more accessible to more people. Even the office hours, which is the pro tier, is less expensive, $100 less. So 33% less than we've ever charged before on a monthly basis. And again, it's specifically so that we can provide more support for our agency members that, need the additional coaching and support. And just to be clear, entry-level members can also join at the pro tier if they feel like they can benefit from that additional coaching and support. The only caveat to that is if we get a lot of really basic questions that in the office hour sessions, then those are typically, I may ask that somebody to kind of downgrade back to an entry level until they get to a little bit of a higher level. But so far that's not been an issue at all. And so I just want to make sure people are aware. It's not like you have to be making over 10K or more to be in the pro tier, but it's certainly geared more towards agencies than it is to the solopreneur. So that's, but I want to make sure people are aware that support is available. If you join at that tier, that's what you get: direct access to me for an hour and a half a day on Tuesday and Wednesdays. And then also on Thursday, which is the hour and a half webinar, but it's not the same as a meeting, right? Like a Google Meet. But, again, with everything changing the way that it is, like we have to be updating the training regularly. And that's why we have a paid community, but we made it more accessible than ever before, so that we can get more people in. So that's it.
Definitely. And part of this drive, if you go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com, you'll see where we're talking about, of course, AI, right? Hopefully you haven't been ignoring that for the past several years. And if you are, or you're not, if you're online, you're not ignoring it. I'm not going to say that anyone is, but I mean, like today, I spent probably half of my morning talking with Claude Code. So I've got Claude Code running on my Windows desktop. I've got a microphone and software that pipes it in since I'm running Windows. And it has been amazing. I got so much done today. I'm getting processes created. I'm getting things outlined, doing planning with Claude Code. I know Bradley's been doing a ton more. We've been sharing ideas, different tools we use, and looking at how we can share that value with mastermind members, as well as everyone else. So that's a big part of it moving forward. I mean, there's productivity. We've always talked about that, ways to be more efficient and get more things done. There's the pointy edge or the tip of the spear, right? There are things on the SEO side, of course, but all this stuff comes together. And I think it's important that everybody, understands what's going on. So yeah, come check it out. If not, just come to Hump Day Hangouts and keep asking questions, and we'll keep engaging. So Bradley, that's kind of it for intro today, unless you got anything else before we kind of jump into things.
Just to add on to what you said, that's the whole point of why we restructured the mastermind, was because my goal for 2026 is to lean my agency out from, I talked about this before, but 6 or 7 months ago now, I had 28 employees. Now I got 14. And it's because of AI, right? So my overhead is reduced. My profitability has increased. My ability to scale has increased, right? All of that. The operation is just more efficient. I still got a lot more work to do though. And that's what I'm doing. So a whole year, my goal by the end of this year is to reduce from 14 down to no more than probably 4 full-time employees, and in myself, but getting myself out of the day-to-day operations and the management, because I still am very much involved in the SEO decision-making for all of my clients. And I would like to kind of get out of that as well, if possible. And so my goal is to kind of really continue to develop AI integrations and automations into my own business so that I can make it more profitable, easier to manage, more fun, right? Because it'd be less management. Like this one thing I've never enjoyed about running a company with a lot of employees is the management side of things. I like working. I like working on stuff, like not managing people. Like I like thinking about stuff, creating things. I like testing and things like that, but not managing people. I really am not crazy about that, but I've had to develop that skill over the years because of the volume of employees that we have. But, with the AI, there's no reason to do that anymore. And so, you can run a very lean and efficient operation with the use of AI, and do it with the very few personnel. I still think we are in a people business. If we are offering SEO and marketing services to other businesses, which is what we focus on, local SEO, then we still have to have relationships with our clients. And so I think there still has to be humans involved. There's no doubt. And so for my own organization, I plan on keeping my executive assistant, my project manager, and then at the bare minimum, at least 2 kind of workers that, do the kind of manage the kind of the edge case issues and things like that aren't easily automatable. Things that just come up occasionally, very, very rarely, not repeatable, consistent stuff that we have to do. And then, my goal is, again, also to kind of get myself out of the day-to-day decision-making, which is very difficult to do, is to train AI with decision logic and have kind of it's very difficult to do, but I'm finding more and more ways to make that happen. As Adam said, one of the things besides just talking about how I'm integrating AI, but it's also sharing tools and applications, and like anti-gravity. Google's anti-gravity is freaking amazing. And Notebook LM is amazing, right? And so there's some of the things that I'm doing to try to develop some AI agents that can take over some of the SEO decision-making processes that I still do 100%, is a combination of using Notebook LM, as kind of like a the memory, so to speak, the brain for each agent that I can use to create, like, for just a quick example, like in my SEO audits, there's 4 components. And I talk about this all the time, but branded location authority or local entity analysis is component number 1. Component number 2 is on-page optimization for the self-hosted site. Component number 3 is on-page optimization for the GBP. And number 4 is backlink analysis or competitive link analysis. So if I can create a separate agent that manage each one of those components, and in one as an orchestrator, which I call Dawn, I always give my agents a name, like an actual persona. And so like Dawn, the decision maker, will manage the 4 other agents that each are isolated or specialize in one particular component of the audit. Like the first one that I've been working on for about 2 weeks now, it's called Larry, the local SEO analyst, right? So the whole point is like, over the next few months, because it's not like, especially the training agents to have with my decision logic, I find it very difficult to do, but I'm working on it. And I'm hoping that over the next couple of months, I'll be able to pull it off, which will buy back so much of my time. And that's why I think the juice is worth the squeeze in this case. And so that's kind of where we're at is, as I develop more automations and integrations into my own organization, then once I prove that it works and I can show with proof, like how it has increased my efficiency, profitability, et cetera, then I will be sharing those with the group so that you guys, like our members, can also integrate or implement the same types of workflows and automations into their own business. And that's kind of the whole point of this is to, the days of having to run a large agency with a lot of employees are gone because of AI. So let's, I want our agency members, even the entry level people that haven't hit 10K yet. It's much easier to get to that level now than it's ever been. You understand? It's so much easier now because of the tools and the AI. And so that's kind of where I see what we're focusing on this year is simplification in our own business. Adam and I both agree. That's why we've consolidated and we restructured and everything specifically so we can simplify and really focus in on what is working. And that's an AI first agency. So I'm excited about all the stuff that's going. We've been now doing the office hours calls for, I think this is the 3rd week. And I really enjoy that. I've always enjoyed the coaching side of it. And so now getting more direct access to our members on a weekly basis on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, where we actually have discussions and we talk and they have questions and have, all that kind of stuff. To me, we're building a community here. And that's the whole point of this, is to not just provide you guys with training, but have an actual community where we can help and support each other. And that's the whole point. So, okay, hopefully I clarified that enough. We've got only a handful of questions. Can I get into them?
Yeah, well, real quick, Bradley, I wanted to see too, as we're kind of merging semantic SEO into semantic links, is there any particular service you want to remind people about or just make people aware of?
Well, there's several. Where do we begin?
I don't want to kill you with the audit, but like just one, because I know you talk about the audit a lot. And again, we're trying to work to clear up your time on that. So I don't want to, have you mention that, get inundated, but is there a service you feel like maybe just people aren't as aware of that can be really helpful? Anything like that?
The competitive link analysis reports, which is the 4th component of an audit, but it can also be purchased as a standalone. That's really valuable if you like it. I've shared in Mastermind many times that the training is free on our YouTube channel, how to do the competitive link analysis along with the link workbook template it's an Excel file. All of that is available. So anybody can do that. And again, I provide that it's freely available on our YouTube channel. But if you get a competitive link analysis from my team and I at Semantic Links and you order the video review and recommendation add-on, that's $20. That's where I will personally review the report after my team generates it. And then I narrate it. I'm very, very thorough in my analysis. And I narrate that in the video, which I always tell people it's usually 10 to 12 minutes long, but depending on the campaign, sometimes they'll go 25, 30 minutes. And I'm only charging $20 for that. But the reason why is because it almost always results in more business. So it's, to me, it's kind of a loss leader. But my goal is to try to show people as part of the video review and recommendation add-on for the competitive link analysis report. I also run the AI search reports, or AI search performance reports, which we're tracking across ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini, or Google AI overviews and Google AI mode, but I just call it Gemini. And so if anybody, because there's 2 ways to improve AI search performance, like 2 primary ways. Number 1 is on-page optimization for the site. But that has a little bit of a slower effect typically. But off-page signals, so citations and press releases, those are the two most valuable and kind of influential things, the most effective things to do to improve AI search performance. So the reason I bring that up is because during the competitive link analysis reports with the video review and recommendation, I will provide an AI SEO report, an AI search performance report. And then I will talk about the different things that can be done to help improve the performance. It's an off-page analysis, but I always have to look at the on-page factors too when I do that, because I will not recommend links to a campaign if it's got a bunch of on-page issues. And so I've learned over the years of running a white label business, link building business, that when somebody asks for a competitive or orders a competitive link analysis report, I have to look at the on-page factors anyway. It's not a full on-page analysis. If I find a bunch of stuff on page that needs to be or should be improved, then I'm going to say, I'm not recommending any links to this until this is improved. And so here I suggest that you consider a full SEO audit. Because then I will very granularly go through and give a very detailed report and video afterwards. Well, now it's a series of videos. It's not one video. It's a video for each section of the audit. But I will very clearly describe what can be done to improve the on-page, and then it will be ready for links, if that makes sense. So that all comes back to what Adam said is kind of, are there any services? Well, the competitive link analysis, because that's always the start of every campaign, is either a full SEO. I always start with a competitive analysis, and through that process, if I determine a full SEO audit is needed, then that would be the next step, is to complete the full audit. But beyond that, the off-page signals, the two most valuable things that you can do to improve performance in AI search right now is citations and press releases. And press releases act as citations, just to be clear. So our links that we provide press release services. We provide citation building through Yext Power Listings, as well as also through our geographic links service and our branded assets service. All of those act as citations. So I would encourage anybody to come check it out if you're interested. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Right.
Yeah, let's jump into it.
We don't have any questions anyway. So anybody has any questions that is on the call or watching currently, you can post in chat, and I'll come back and check on that in a minute. I'm going to grab the screen, and we're going to answer the few questions that we have, which are mostly YouTube questions, actually. So cool. We can wrap up early.
Are they actually, are they good YouTube questions? I know sometimes.
Sometimes they're difficult. Yeah, we'll see. First one's from Huzzy. What's up, man? Haven't heard from you in a bit. He says, if a contact responds to your cold email, but their GBP is already performing well and they have plenty of reviews, do you still pitch the review service or something more unique like press releases? That's a great question, Huzzy, by the way. And so I always will still get on the call. I remember when I first started doing this process and the whole directory outreach. And at the time I was doing video emails where I wasn't trying to book calls. I was just, when they would positively reply, I would go out and run their right local reports, the local search grid reports and all that stuff. And then I would record a video and send it to them. And it wasn't very efficient to do it that way, but it was effective. But I wasted a lot of time recording videos that never got watched or that never got responded to. And so, that's why I've modified the process over the years to be a lot more scalable, where we request for them to get on a call with us. And but why I started saying that was because, several years ago when I kind of started this process, if I got a positive reply from the cold outreach, and I would then go run or my team, whatever, would run the local search grid reports or the bright local reports so we could start to pitch them, determine what to pitch them, et cetera. If the reports came back and they were already performing really well, I used to just basically just ghost them, right? Like, I mean, I would, we'd still publish their listing, but I wouldn't pursue them because I thought, well, what would be the point of this? It appears like they've already got everything that they need. But what I found over the years, though, is that you can almost always find ways. And it's not only that, but you don't know how, even if they're getting good results, like in their digital marketing, sometimes they don't like their agency, right? Or whoever's performing their marketing. So even if it's effective, sometimes there's just some sort of, bad blood between them or resentment or animosity of some sort. No kidding, because I've had conversations with tree guys before that have just said, yeah, I mean, we've got a good presence, we get leads, but I'm not real happy with this or with that. So I've learned over the years to have the conversation anyways. Why? Not because I need to pitch them on something, but during that conversation, some opportunities to pitch something may come up. But what am I doing? The same thing that I've been telling you guys and telling our audience now for years. I am opening the door. And that matters more than anything, right? You have that you build rapport, right? You open the door and build rapport in that you can, you introduce yourself, right? Make yourself known, your agency known to them, so that time and circumstance changes everything, right? And so you never know what's going to happen. Anything could happen with that that contact and their current provider, to where if they had a good conversation with you, where you didn't try to hard close them on anything, right? You just had a fucking conversation with them. You showed genuine interest in their business and them and in them, right? Then they will remember that. Not always. I mean, you'll still have a lot of conversations that may never end up bearing any fruit, right? Producing any fruit. But what happens? You continue to develop your communication skills with business owners in that industry. You can identify things from those companies that are already doing well that still bother them, so that you can develop or improve your own internal processes and services, because even those companies that are doing well by their whatever agency is doing it for them typically still have complaints and gripes about something. So it's a lot of insight that you can still glean from those conversations to help make your service better, your pitch, your offer, all of that better, right? You can continue to refine by having those conversations. But getting back to what you said, is there something that you can pitch them? Oftentimes, yes. Here's where I see a lot of local, like tree service contractors that might have a really strong presence, and they might have an SEO, either professional or an agency working on their stuff. And they might have good reviews too, but are they marketing with those reviews? Like, in other words, are they leading with that reputation that they have? So that's something you just mentioned, press releases. Absolutely. I love pitching press releases, because I also talk to the company owners and talk about how press releases help to improve AI search performance, which I just talked about a moment ago when we were talking about citations and press releases. So that's absolutely something I will do, is as I'm talking to them, I'll be like, man, you're doing really, really well. It doesn't seem like you need much. Is there anything that you don't like about your current marketing and your current situation? As if you had the perfect agency working for you, what would it look like? That kind of stuff. You ask those types of questions and you get additional information from them. But then again, going back to, man, you have a really strong reputation. You guys are doing well. You're covering a big, broad area. It seems like you're getting reviews consistently. Have you thought about leading with that reputation? It's reputation marketing. I think David Sprague kind of coined the term reputation marketing. But we offer press release services, branding campaigns for like YouTube ads, YouTube ad campaigns, branding campaigns, all that kind of stuff. You've earned a 5-star reputation in your local area. You should be leading with that, marketing that, because you will generate a hell of a lot more business. And so just having a conversation like that sometimes can open up a new opportunity that they may not have considered. Now, sometimes they'll take that opportunity to their current agency and ask them to do it, and so be it. Again, what did you do? You promoted goodwill. You planted a seed, right? And you built rapport. You opened the door, right? Put for a potential collaboration or business relationship at a later time. And so again, guys, I've found that just it helps you to stay sharp. Even sometimes you can also identify just by asking the business owners that have a really good presence. Maybe they're aware of something that their agencies are doing that you weren't aware of that could be done, right? And so again, you can sometimes just glean information from the contact about that will spark ideas for you as to new products or services, or ways to kind of reconfigure your existing offer to be more effective. So I think it's worth the conversation is kind of the short answer for that. It's definitely worth having a conversation, because you never know where it will lead. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. Guys, we're in a people business. That's what I said earlier. Especially if you're providing services like marketing services for local businesses. Like the people component is every bit as important as the technical component, like the ability to get results, being able to communicate well. All of that really, really matters. And so I think it's important to stay sharp and having the additional practice, even for contacts that you assume you're likely not going to have anything to offer to them. It's worth a conversation. You know what I mean? So it's a great question, though, Jose. I like that question. So thank you for that. YouTube comment says, feeding the machine, with the title was feeding the machine, using structured data to help AI understand your business. The comment, can't the LLMs just read what's on the page? Yes, they can. But you understand schema and structured data is a way to emphasize what is the most important elements of the page, right? What is the topics, the that you're trying to convey through the page. And so structured data is it's much more, it's code, JSON LD, right? That is specifically written for the bots. And LLMs eat that shit up because it parses it. And so, and it also depends on the type of page that the content, you said, can't the LLM just read the page? Yeah, but you also got to determine like the code of the page too. Let me give you an example. Some of the page builders out there, well, let's use Go high level sites. High level sites are terrible right now. And I hate that I have to say that, but it's true. And it's because for a year and a half to 2 years, I was telling everybody, build high level sites because they're awesome. Now I feel like an asshole because high level sites, something changed about May or June of last year. And I don't know if it was in high level or in Google, but something changed and those sites just, they will not perform anymore. Well, go look at the source code of a high level site. It's horrible. It's terrible. A lot of these vibe coding sites out there, I know because I built one vibe coding site on bolt.new for one of my tree service clients. The site looks good. It was fun to build. But the code sucks. Okay. The code sucks. That's React or some shit like that. So like, if you look at the source code, it's like only a couple of lines. Like, you know, if you go render it in Search Console, you can see the full code. Again, I think it's JavaScript. I'm not a coder. I said JavaScript yesterday on the office hours calls, and somebody said it's built in React. Well, I don't know the difference between the two anyways, but anyways, whatever it is, you can't see the code when you view page source, but when it's rendered properly by Google, if you go to Search Console and you take one of the pages from the site, you say inspect URL, test live URL, and in view rendering or view rendered page or whatever that option is, it slides out from the right side of the sidebar, you know, and then you can see all the code. But those sites just don't perform well. Those vibe coded sites, they just don't perform well. Why? Because they've got that shitty code. So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, having structured data, especially for those WordPress Elementor. Have you ever looked at the code of a site that is built on WordPress using Elementor? It's shit, right? It's terrible. And so some of them are better than others. Some of the page builders, like, you know, Divi and things like that or whatever. I hate WordPress anyways. But the whole point that I'm trying to get at is you can use structured data that is a very clean, and it's the name of it is structured data. So it's literally structured in a way that the machines ingest that's very clean and parsable for them, right? So that and so even if yes, can the LLMs read the page? Most of the time. But wait a minute. Maybe not all the time, right? What if there are bot blockers on it? So for example, I just did an SEO audit for a potential link building client. And I'm not going to say the company or their names, but they approached us at Semantic Links. Well, we cold email. We snagged them through a cold email. But when I got on a call with them, they asked me to do a full SEO audit for their own site. In their own site, they're marketing AI search optimization. That's what they're marketing, okay? And they have Cloudflare as their DNS provider that has the LLM blocker on. If you guys have added domains to Cloudflare at all in the last few weeks or a couple of months, whatever, you know that when you add a domain, before you get to like the DNS records and everything, it makes you select whether you want to block LLMs, allow certain LLMs, or allow all LLMs to crawl the site. So here's a company that is telling on their site, they're promoting that they are an AI SEO company, and they are blocking LLMs from crawling their own site. Do you understand? So why I bring that up is because, again, you know, there's bot blockers, there are the Cloudflare thing, those types of options that can block LLMs. There's also those LLMs.txt files, which are like robots.txt files. There's a lot of kind of conflicting information on the web online about whether or not that's valuable, or should you implement LLMs. Brian Winham did some training at the SEO Rockstars event 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. That was by far the most comprehensive training I've ever seen about LLMs.txt. And the way that Brian Winham is using it was like freaking amazing. As soon as he started talking about it and showing examples of how he creates LLMs.txt files and adds them to the site and all that kind of stuff, I was like, oh my God, of course that works. You know, like, duh, of course that would work. And so my point is, again, that's another set of like code specifically for the LLMs, right? To tell the LLMs what to prioritize, what the main kind of topics of the page are. You can create connections and do interlinking between pages through the LLMs.txt, almost like you mirror the structure of the main website, but you can do it with LLMs files that are specifically written for the language models. So can the LLMs read text on the page? Most of the time, yes. But is it structured in a way that is going to boost the performance? And most of the time, no. When it's, especially when there's a page builder or site builder, that type of stuff involved. If you were doing clean HTML code, custom coded pages where you could build all of that into the page, then you likely wouldn't need structured data, or it might not be as effective or as important if you could create the pages in a very clean and structured way. But a lot of the messiness out there from the different site builders and page builders, et cetera, you can compensate for that messiness by using clean structured data that's formatted and optimized properly, and LLMs.txt as well. Hopefully that's clear. So the short answer is, can they read the text? Not always. Most of the time, yes. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be clean, parsable, et cetera. We can provide the most important data from that page in a much more structured format that then the LLMs will eat up. Okay, so it's a good question, but again, it's it's just there's better ways to do things now, in my opinion. That's why in the mastermind and Jeremy from Press Advantage, he's been building a site builder that will replace WordPress for the directory sites. I asked him to do that, and he offered. God bless him. I don't know why, but he offered to do it. And now that has turned into also a local lead generation site builder. So a local site builder, because it's all done in HTML code. It gets rid of all that bloated mess that so many of the other site builders out there. I was demoing this yesterday in the mastermind office hours session. We're still, Jeremy and I are, it's Jeremy's product, but I'm helping him I'm a beta tester for it, obviously. And so we've been, I've been finding a lot of bugs and sending them, and he's fixing everything almost in real time, and sometimes in real time while we're on a Zoom call. And I'm telling you guys, I can't wait for this to be fully ready so we can launch it. Well, he's launching it, but we're going to promote it. And you guys will know about it, I promise. But I'm super excited about it because, it's some of the cleanest code I've ever seen. And it's specifically developed for today's current search environment, right? It's not like WordPress and everything else that are trying to modify their code and their structure to better perform in today's current environment. This was built from the ground up for today's standards. And so I'm so excited about it, guys. I'm telling you, the local lead generation sites now can be built from the same platform, and blogging sites. Because of the white label link building provider, I've had white label clients for years now ask me if we could do content marketing for them, which we kind of do in link building, but not the same. It's not the same as publishing branded content. And so, after 2 years of clients saying, hey, can you do this? And I kept saying, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. I finally said, why do I keep turning this money away? So we had to figure out a way to do content marketing without needing access to the client sites, because I don't touch other people's sites. I've been very clear about that for years. And so the same site builder that Jeremy's building from Press Advantage, it's called SiteSwarm. You can go look at siteswarm.co and go take a look at it. There's I think there's a waiting list there that you can sign up for if you'd like. But it's very, very clean, structured code that now we can build the directory sites with, local lead generation or local sites with, and also blogging sites that are HTML pages. We don't need a CMS, right? We manage all the content from the dashboard, and we just push the content out in HTML format to blazingly fast pages that are incredibly lean, that are structured specifically for AI ingestion. So we're going to be able, it's a white label service I'm going to be offering. I'm hoping to launch it within a month. Because we've got, Jeremy's been working really hard on trying to get this thing launched. And so I'm really hoping that we can launch that soon, because that's going to be huge for us at Semantic Links, because it's going to produce a lot of additional revenue, because it's going to be in high demand for sure. So we're going to definitely share more about that as it's ready in the next 2 weeks or so, I hope. Right. Great question, by the way. So the next one is, how many location pages should be built before it stops helping? The comment was, so your focus is getting leads from regular organic with these sites, or you're using each subdomain site to power a different GBP in the maps ranking per county. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this was talking about, for a long time I was doing local lead generation site. They're still valuable to do, but all the local lead generation sites that I did were in high level, and now they all they all shit the bed, so to speak. None of them are performing well right now. And again, it's a high level code issue, I think. Anyway, organic assets only in Google search now, they don't produce leads. I mean, you might get the occasional lead, guys, but they're not producing leads. Just to be clear, like, you got to be ranked in maps or you're not getting leads in local SEO anymore. Like, that's it. Does that mean you should give up and not optimize for organic? Absolutely not. I'm not saying don't optimize for organic. You should still optimize for organic, because that influences how the campaign will perform in AI search too, right? So you do want to still optimize for organic, but whether it ranks in organic search or not doesn't matter, because you're not going to get leads for local search queries through organic search. If you do, they're few and far between. So, but for a long time, I was talking about building organic only lead gen assets so that you don't have to try to go out and secure and verify spammed GBP listings. Okay. And because of that, what I was doing with organic assets, now we're talking about 3 years ago when I first started that. 3 years ago, they were still producing leads, organic only. If you could get them ranked in, the top three, but, one in the top three, let's just say that. If you could get an organic asset to rank in the top three for search queries, you could generate leads. It wasn't nearly as many as maps, but you could still generate leads. Now it's like crickets, right? You'll get a handful of leads occasionally, like a lead here and there, I mean. But there's still value in that. There's still value in ranking a organic only asset that then you can point to as a sales tool when you're pitching your SEO services to clients or contacts, business owners of the same industry in that area. So it still makes sense to build organic only assets, because you can use that as a sales tool to point when you're pitching your services, right? You say, look, I don't even have a company or a client in this area. I don't own a tree service company, but as a test, I built a site in your area and I ranked it, and it's outranking you, Mr. Prospect or Ms. Business Owner or whatever, right? It's outranking you, and it's not even a real business. So imagine what I can do for you, right? Or I can do this for you. And I'll tell you what, if you try my services, I will assign any leads that are generated from this site directly to you, exclusively to you and you only. So it can still be used as a sales tool, because it can show that you absolutely know what you're doing and that you can get results. And especially if you can outrank the prospects that you're pitching the service to with a site that has no GBP connected to it or anything else. Can you still do that? Yes, you can. You can still absolutely rank a site if the code is good, right? Don't use eye-level sites. But and then again, I just use it as a sales tool. I don't even, now again, 3 years ago when I started that process, I was actually either renting the site, the organic site only, or selling the leads from that site. But over time, as organic search started producing less and less leads, because maps and ads continue to get bigger and bigger, right? And now AI overviews, there's local service ads, regular search ads, there's ads in the maps pack, then there's the maps pack, and then you finally get to organic all the way down at the very bottom of the page. So they're not nearly as valuable. And so, and that has been like over the last, 3 years or so, like the organic assets for local search queries, the organic only listings have continued to get pushed further and further and further down the page. And so at some point over the last 3 years, I switched from trying to monetize those sites directly by either renting them out on a rank and rent, lease, whatever you want to call it, or pay per lead, because I'm not generating many leads. So pay per lead wasn't a good option for those anyways. To instead just using them as sales tools only. In other words, go find a particular, I always recommend find low competition areas to target. Rank a site there very quickly because it's low competition. And then you scrape all the business owners of that particular industry in that area, and you send them cold emails and try to get them onto a call where then you pitch them your services, and you can point to a site that you've already ranked and they're outranked them in their own area. And why do I like low competition areas? Number one, so I can rank a site quickly. Number two, so that when I land a client in that area, I know it's going to be easy because it's low competition. Right? Why do we want to make it hard on ourselves as SEOs? Like, I'm going to go target the highest search volume city in America, and I'm going to spend the next 18 months, working myself to death to try to get ranked, and I'm likely not going to be successful. But I think that's a good idea. Right? Why not go somewhere where the search volume is low, the competition is low, but there's still businesses there that are trying to generate leads. So make it easy on yourself, right? And that's what I've tried to do for years. So I still prefer targeting low competition areas. And in fact, if I get on a call with somebody that's on a very high competition area, I don't even if I charge them triple what I typically charge a tree service client, I don't want the job. You understand? Because I'd rather go sell 3 low competition tree service contractors on my traditional retainer package than to try to sell one extremely competitive tree service contractor that's in an extremely competitive area, I mean, for 3 times the money. You understand? Because I know that those tree service contractors in the low competition areas, I know I'm going to be able to get them results and fairly quickly and keep them ranked. But the other guy, it could be months of hard effort, and I may not get them ranked. I likely will, but it's going to be a ton of work, right? And so I'd rather sell 3 $1,000 retainers in low competition areas than one $3,000 retainer in an extremely high competition area. Okay, so that's why I'm saying, guys, yes, you can still do organic only assets. They're not really going to generate many leads, but you can prove your expertise that way. And you can use it as kind of a deal sweetener, so to speak. I've said that before, but that's like, hey, I'll tell you what, if you sign up for my services, by the end of this week, I'll assign that site that I've already ranked in your area to you exclusively and only you, meaning any leads that are generated from that site will come to you and you only, as long as you're an active subscriber, if that makes sense. All right. So, and then once again, you can use those sites. If you could use those sites to then assign that site to the GBP. I wouldn't do that though. I'd sell them on their own site. I want to maintain control of my own assets. And so I use them as sales tools, but then when I sell a client, right, I close a client in that area, yes, I may assign the leads to them, but I want to keep that site for me. I would then sell them a new site. It might be the exact same structure. It will be the exact same structure as my site. It will look slightly different, right? Different colors, different images, etc. But it's going to be the exact same structure because I already proved that structure worked. Does that make sense? So again, now we've ended up selling them on another website and the Google Business Profile optimization and SEO, etc. Content marketing, branding, all the other things that we do. Okay. So far, these have been pretty decent questions from YouTube, which is rare. All right, next one is Geo versus SEO. Why your ranking strategy needs an AI pivot comment. Which tool would you recommend? Again, we talked about this a lot today. The most important thing right now, well, other than search prompts, and here's the thing, I think that's fairly inaccurate too. Rank trackers aren't accurate, and I don't think a lot of these prompt AI search performance trackers are all that accurate either. But I look at rank trackers as an indication only. They're not law. It's not gospel. They're not fully accurate. If you were to run the same rank trackers 5 times in a day, you're probably going to get 5 different results. Same thing with local search grid reports. Same thing with AI search performance reports. I use rankprompt.com for that. It's inexpensive. That's why I do it, because we do it, at scale for agencies. Because of our white label services. So that one's one of the lesser expensive ones. So that's why I use it, because we run so many damn reports. But as I just talked about before, the most important things is clean parsable code on the site. So on page itself, how the code is on the site and the structure of, not just the code structure itself, but the structure of the pages and the main optimization elements, which I've been teaching about for years now. The main optimization elements of the page are URLs, titles, headings, subheadings, internal links, and media, right? So the public facing side of the site, right? The visible side of the pages of the site should be structured properly. But then the code behind the site, the underlying code, should also be structured properly, clean, fast loading, parsable, right? So in sections, which again, the site builder that Jeremy's building does all that. So that's number one. That's an on-page thing. Get rid of stupid WordPress and any of these stupid page builders that bloat the hell out of the code. Get rid of those. Try to find leaner options. That will improve performance. But then off page, like I said, the kind of AI SEO rank trackers and stuff, they're just an indication of the performance of a campaign. They're not, I don't trust any of those rank trackers as being absolutes. Like that's how the campaign is actually ranking. No, it's just an indication. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. So, as far as what else can you do for AI SEO performance versus SEO or versus regular SEO? As far as off page, like I said, the most important things right now, citations and press releases. Press releases act as citations. You guys, again, I have to say this every time. Citations is a published mention of the brand with the name, address, phone number, and with or without a website. It doesn't matter, right? With or without the website reference, it doesn't matter. What matters is the the published mention of the brand, the address, the phone, or some combination of 2 out of the 3 out of those data points. Now, the website, if you can get a link back to, or even just a reference to the link without it being an actual hyperlink, that is more valuable, certainly, but it's not needed to be able to improve AI search performance. Because getting brand mentions, that is a citation. It's a published mention, right? A business directory listing is a structured citation. But a published mention anywhere else is still a citation. It's just an unstructured citation or a non-traditional citation. Still a citation. It's citing the brand. What happens when you do an AI search and you ask for, and by the way, more than 50% of searches originate now are done by voice, right? They're spoken searches, right? Both in search engines and search AI models, chat models, LLMs, whatever. That's done by voice. More than 50% of searches. That's why I think keywords are obsolete. And I can't stand it. Our industry, a lot of people still talk about keywords. I try to call them search queries now because I think keywords is an obsolete term. And when people search via LLM, they're not searching the way that we have all been kind of trained to search in Google, which was keyword searches, right? People search with natural language questions, right? So you can call them search prompts, whatever, but they're basically natural language questions, spoken language questions to the models. So for example, hey, Gemini, can you recommend the top tree service providers in Pikeville, Kentucky, right? What happens when the AI model returns the references, their citations, they're citing various brands that offer tree services in Pikeville, Kentucky. So those are also citations. Those are citations coming from the LLMs. Do you get it? Because they're brand references. But where do the LLMs get the brand references? From other properties, third-party properties. Now, they can come from first party, right? First party would be from the client's website. That's a first-party citation. A third-party citation is an external website referencing the brand. So how can you improve AI search performance is one, clean, that on-page thing, clean code, right? Proper structure, proper optimization, but the off-page signals is citations, right? Published mentions, business directory listings, press releases, Web 2.0s, social media posts, video citations, image citations, right? Document citations, everything, all of the above. All of those are citations, published mentions. One of the quickest ways to get an AI search is to get brand references on high authority business directories, niche or industry specific or business vertical specific directories, hyper local directories, because as a search prompt or query becomes more localized, the AIs put more weight upon localized results, right? So hyper local citations are very, very valuable. And then also getting brand references on other high authority properties. Again, social media, Web 2s, press releases, because they're media outlets, they're publications like news and media type style publications that typically carry a lot of authority. So again, guys, one of the quickest ways you can improve AI search performance right now is focus on citation building. And I don't just mean business directories, okay? Just do a lot of that branding. That's the most important thing right now by far, in my opinion, for SEO, local SEO. Okay. So how has that changed much? Well, really hasn't, except because we've been teaching about branding being the most important thing in local SEO now for years. God, for years we've been teaching that. But there was still a lot of other SEO hacks and tactics that we had to implement or, deploy through that process. It wasn't just about branding. We focused on branding, but we still had to do all the other stuff. Right now, again, it's not as hard as people think it is. If you have the site structured properly, it's clean, and then you just do a ton of citation work. And by the way, one of the things we sell at Semantic Links are geographic links. We talked about this before we started answering questions. When Adam asked me if there's anything I wanted to talk about, and I said press release and citation. Well, geographic links act as those too. Remember, I just mentioned a moment ago, hyperlocal citations. Those are very valuable. We're developing another service at Semantic Links right now called Citation Sniper, which will be it's a high end service. It's not going to be cheap. It's not these $2 and $3 citations or 50-cent citations you get from Fiverr and shit like that. No, these are where we go out and snipe hyperlocal citations for businesses, and we do manual entries for those. And so we're developing the AI automation to identify these sources for every client. We go in and we do basically a search, like a seek. That's an automation that we're building that will do that. But anyways, once we've identified potential hyperlocal citations for that particular business, then we have team members that go out and start submitting those citations to those directories. Some are paid, some are free. But it's a high-end service because it's so damn effective. The harder it is to get a citation, the more valuable it is. No kidding. And but just to be clear though, like Yext Power Listings, I love Yext Power Listings. I know so many SEOs think they hate it. And you know what? In my opinion, you're wrong, because the reason why I like Yext Power Listings is because we thoroughly optimize the profile in one location, and then it syncs out in the US with the published street address. It's roughly 65 business directories that it syncs to. And those are high authority business directories, which is good for AI search because, again, it's high authority properties, but also hyperlocal and industry or niche specific directories. Okay. Those are a lot harder though. That's why Yext Power Listings and Uberall and all these services out there that do citations, the Fiverr gigs, the legit gigs, all of these, they all usually do citations on the same goddamn properties. Why? Because those are the easy ones to get citations. The harder it is to get a citation, the more valuable it is. That's why all the services out there use the same damn platforms, because it's easy, it's scalable. It's very difficult to scale sniping citations. Ask me how I know, because I'm developing a service for it, right? We're doing as much automation as we can, but there's still going to be a lot of manual components to it, okay? So why I say that is because those are very, very valuable types of citations that you can build. And so, geographic links, though, as I just started to say, at Semantic Links, what we've done is we've got over 2,500 blogs now that are geographically relevant blogs, meaning they're blogs that are locally relevant to a particular area, that have locally relevant content, that have locally relevant backlinks pointing to them, links with geographic significance to that area. Hopefully that's clear. And when you buy a geographic link from Semantic Links, we're not publishing a new post on that blog, because that blog is likely not in the same topical categories of whatever we're linking to. But what we do is we insert a block quote into one of the posts on the blog that in the domain name has either the city or the town that the GBP is located in, or an immediately adjacent city or town, or the county that the city or town is located within, right? Or a region. Sometimes we'll go to the regional level. But in any case, the domain itself has geographic relevance to the business that we ultimately are going to link to. But then what we do is put a block quote into some random post on that site that already has locally relevant backlinks from other local sources pointing to it. And we just put a block quote in there that says, hey, the team at our blog would like to thank this company for their support. If you need products or services in this city or town, contact this company. And then we put NAP, literally name, address, and phone number, so we get a citation on a locally relevant blog with locally relevant backlinks pointing to it. You understand? And then we do a map embed. So we get 2 anchor text links, a link to the money site, a link to the ID page, a map embed, and a citation on a blog that is locally relevant, geographically relevant because of the domain, plus the backlinks pointing to it. Again, citations. You get it? That's the most important thing right now. And by the way, one last thing I want to talk about before we move to the last question. Links, guys. I think the way our jobs as SEOs is not to push SEO metrics like we have for years. I think our jobs now is to force the entities to recognize, or excuse me, the algorithms to recognize the entity associations that we want, brand associations. Think about it. I talk about branding. We want to force the algorithms to understand or to recognize how the brand is associated with the products or services it provides and the location or area in which it provides them. You understand, a location is a single location. An area is a collection of locations, right? So an area would be like a county or a region that has a bunch of cities and towns in it. A location would be a city or a town. You get it? And so our jobs as SEOs is no longer about pushing SEO metrics. Our job should be about trying to force the algorithms and the language models, the models, to understand the associations between the brand and what we want them to understand about the brand, the products and service associations and the location associations. So I think links now are not about pushing link equity or link juice, DADR, page rank, none of that. I think links right now are about creating associations. I know from doing over 4 years now of white label link building services and doing competitive link analysis reports for every client every month for every search query that we analyze for them. We have an enormous amount of backlink profile information for the top ranked competitors for local search queries across dozens and dozens and dozens of industries, if not over 100 industries now. 4 years of data, guys. And we have an enormous amount of data that shows that the primary anchor text ratio of the top ranked competitors for 95% of all local search queries. That is not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. 95% of all local search queries that we analyze, the top ranked competitors backlink profile is primarily in the brand/URL anchor text category. That means they're branded anchors. You get that? So what does that tell you? Google is rewarding brands. So how are building branded anchor links different than any time before when we were building links? Well, because before we used to focus on metrics, DADR, trust flow, whatever. Okay. Third-party metrics that Google and the language models don't give two shits about. Okay. But why does branded anchors, why does that perform well? Well, number one, because you're promoting the brand. Number two, if the brand anchor is placed within relevant content that has entities nearby, right? Related and relevant entities within the content that are in close proximity to that link. That link is inheriting the relevance from those entities. It's about associations, right? You were creating an association between the relevant entities, right? The topics, the services, the locations with the brand anchor, right? Because you publish the branded anchor in a relevant post that has relevant topical product service category or entities, excuse me, and or location entities. So what are we doing? We're creating an association between the brand with a direct link to the branded site, but with a brand anchor nearby in close proximity to entities that are relevant to the products or services and or locations in which it provides those. And all of that is in a page that is relevant, preferably published on a relevant domain that shares those same topical themes at the domain level too. You get what I'm saying? It's not about the DA, the DR, the trust flow. It's about the relevance and the entity association. That's our jobs now, guys, is to force associations. It's not stupid third-party metrics or SEO metrics. That's my opinion, and that's how I do my SEO. Okay, I'm not saying my opinion is law or gospel or anything else. I'm just saying that's how I do SEO because it works, and I like it a lot better. It's a lot better than doing all the spammy shit that we used to do. We sell links, guys. You understand? But we sell relevant links because that's what matters. It's about creating those associations. Geographic links create geographic associations with the brand. Topical links create topical associations, product and service category associations with the brand. You see what I'm saying? That's what we should be focusing on is associations. That's why I talk about in the SEO titles, guys, you should be optimizing with semantic triples, right? Subject, predicate, object. Another term for that is an entity association statement. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is where we do it. Brand, product or service, location or area. Get it? Those are, again, association statements. That's our job through the main optimization elements of the page. Titles, headings, subheadings, or excuse me, URL, titles, headings, subheadings, internal links, and media. Again, create associations within each of those main optimization elements. The paragraph text between them should be optimized for the human to convert the visitor into whatever conversion goal we want. You understand? So again, I think it's a lot easier now to actually get results than it was before, because now we get to focus on what we should have been focusing on all along, but we couldn't because the technology hadn't got to that point yet. But now it's there. And so I think it's done our industry a huge favor because all the shit that I used to be ashamed of myself for some of the spammy shit that I used to do. You know what I mean? Like was embarrassed. Like honest to God, some of the spammy, I used to hate it. I used to hate some of the shit that we did in SEO, but we did it because it was effective. Now I like the fact that we can focus a lot more on marketing and branding, copywriting, marketing principles, sales, all of that kind of stuff. I think it's just a lot more effective that way now too. And think of why, because there's language models power everything. And they almost have an understanding. I mean, I know they're not, it's still just an algorithm, right? But it's damn near consciousness. You know what I mean? And so we can be a lot more intentional now about what we're trying to accomplish without having to just spam the bots, so to speak. Anyway, these were actually really good YouTube questions, which is very rare. Last one is Christian says, what are the 3 best types of link building for 2026? I've already covered that today 1,000 times. Geographic links, citations, press releases by far. But relevance matters too. So topical links too. Like, again, stop focusing on DADR, trust flow for real. Start looking at relevance. How can you force associations through links? And how can you get the brand referenced on across as many properties, preferably high authority and relevant properties, which is why I said citations. Citations are very broad, but high authority business directory listings, industry specific business directories, hyperlocal directories, press releases, social media properties, industry publications, anything at all where you can get brand references, right? That's going to help. So you want topical relevance, geographic relevance, citations, brand references. Those are the three most important things in link building right now. Okay. Great questions today, guys. I appreciate that, even though I didn't think we were going to have good ones. So we're going to wrap up here in just a minute. I'm going to answer the comments and then we're going to wrap up. Costco is the only one with a question.
Cool.
Yeah. Can you give a high level overview about what your newsletter copy generally looks like for each of your front end or full on retainer SEO services? Newsletter copy for each of your front end or full on retainer SEO services. I don't know what you mean. Sorry, Costco. I just don't understand the question. Our newsletter is for, we, by the way, just started I had a newsletter company running my newsletters for Tree Care HQ and Semantic Links for over 2 years. It was probably close to 3 years, but I just hired, I was paying them $800 a month per newsletter. So I was paying $1,600 a month for like 2.5-3 years, whatever it was. And now, with AI, why the fuck was I doing that? So in December, I canceled my service with them. And in January, I hired the guy from Upwork. His name is Mobolaji, but he's in Nigeria or something. He's a really, really young guy, but he's a sharp kid. And he's doing my Beehive. I've got newsletters in Beehive now. Still going to do bi-weekly with Tree Care HQ, but Semantic Links is going to once per week. And we don't do any pitching. I mean, we have a service spotlight in our newsletter. So every week we're going to highlight one of our services within the middle of the newsletter edition or article, whatever you want to call it. It's just a service spotlight. It's a soft pitch. It's not a hard pitch. The newsletter is supposed to, provide information about AI and, local marketing, but it's really heavy on the AI side of things. Of course it is. Everything is right now. So we want to be kind of helpful and valuable too. And then we have a soft pitch, the product spotlight. The same thing with the Tree Care HQ, but we're only doing those every other week. Same thing as I just do a product spot or a service spotlight, within the newsletter that just promotes the various services that I pitch to tree service contractors. So hopefully
you just said Tree Care directory newsletters.
That's what I just mentioned. So the Tree Care directory newsletter is the same thing. We talk about with the tree service contractors. Again, we talk like the first section of the newsletter talks about some sort of a tip or that they can do to improve their marketing, lead generation, their business operations, whatever. It's something of value that we provide, some sort of training or tip as the first opening part of the newsletter, Then we have a service spotlight. And then we have like a funny story or an anecdote or something like that. Like there's another section for that. And then there's the parting or closing words, parting shot, whatever it's called in that particular newsletter, which is, just something for them to chew on between that and the next edition. But
Costco, I think the way you can remember this just as terms of like a quick reminder is like, value informational up front. And then your call to action isn't the hard pitch or anything crazy. It's just, hey, and by the way. Hey, That's and right. By the way, right? Because you're leading with value and then, hey, by the way. And that way it's not, just, hey, flash sale or this or that. Just like, hey, by the way, we have this if you're ready for it.
Yeah, that's what newsletters should always be a really soft pitch. That's the way I look at it, right? You can always do email campaigns with a harder offer promotion to your list, your newsletter list, but that's a separate emails campaign entirely. So I don't use the newsletters for spamming or for like heavy promotions. So anyway, thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. We'll see some of you guys tomorrow at Mastermind. Otherwise, we'll see everybody else next week. Thanks for everyone.
Bye, everyone.